find out, is this a new Kardashian thing now, the nipple, the boob tape thing?
Oh yeah, like from like door there.
Wouldn't you literally walk like,
Yeah.
No, we can do minutes and PM. If not, we just
Council members, please top stage.
Craig.
Hello, welcome. We'll just get started. So, welcome, hello. And before we start, we're bringing up from last week, which are Lady Lily, who's the acting secretary. The 10th ordinary meeting of the 167th session of the Literary and Scientific Society took place in the Senate room on the 18th of February and was attended by 36 members. Private members' business was heard from external convener Mr. Ben Murphy, God knows where he's gone now, who proposed that in lieu of an official president's ashtray, the society should instead promote a member to the official capacity of bearer of the presidential e-cigarette. However, upon the damning realisation that President Senate Sandy does not own an e-cigarette, Mr. Murphy withdrew his proposal. Internal convener Mr. Owen Mulholland then wished to have a debate on whether animals can be racist. Sadly for him, no one else did. President's questions were heard from Mr. Rob Whitehurst, who asked President Sinnott what she thought of the Literafics Queen Radio debate in midweek. She remarked that, despite some frankly apocalyptically bad song choices from a certain Mr. Ben Murphy, it was generally satisfactory. President Sinnott then announced the evening's motion. This House would establish trans-only prisons. Opening for the proposition was Miss Gemma Cannon, who stated that those in the House who would simply call for a stick to the status quo in terms of how trans prisons are treated are the individuals who will be remembered on the wrong side of history. She stated that prisoners are in prisons in order to rehabilitate them, not to subject them to a life of daily abuse and potential violence. She asserted that the solution to the current epidemic of anti-trans attacks in prisons was to create trans-only wings, which would be built as an expansion of current gender wings. She concluded by saying that something must be done, and our main aim is ensuring prisoners can successfully reintegrate into society should be a preventable violence against minority groups. Opening for the opposition was Mr. Andrew Dillon, who opened with the commonly recognised fact that anyone who's cool owns a butt plug. He claimed that the proposition was short-sighted and disastrous, as they were not looking at the broad legal issue. He asserted that the wider LGBT community has always been susceptible to violence within prisons, while also frequently ranking extremely highly in terms of self-harm. He informed the House that we should revolve gender incongruence rather than allowing prisons to isolate slivers of the vulnerable population and absolve them from any real reform. He concluded by saying that this motion plays into the hands of those who wish to limit trans rights and that we need more good prisons rather than more trans prisons. Concluding for the proposition was Mr. Finbar Rogers. He claimed that he had first-hand experience in being in a prison, having attended Catholic school. He echoed Miss Cannon's previous statement that we must move on from what we consider the status quo and chastise the opposition for not taking into account intergendered individuals. He concluded by stating that trans people need to be protected in a sensible way, not thrown in solitary confinement as they so often are under the current system. Concluding for the opposition, and so the debate, was Mr. Cohen van Blanken, who opened by informing the House that it is public perception that needs to change, not the prison system. He asserted that in any cohort of any population, there will be violent individuals who will very often look for an excuse to target an individual in order to release their anger. While this very often transpires in minority groups such as trans persons being targeted, Mr. Van Blanken stated that these attacks would simply find a new target if trans-only prisons were implemented. To conclude, he reminded the House that trans prisons don't want to be segregated and that the proposition was naive to assume so. The debate then moved to the floor where questions were heard from Graham Alexander, Rosie Waterson, Matt Wilkinson, Andrew Hanneman, Ellen Murray, Sarah Lyke Manderson, Danny, Graham Alexander and James McNaney. An opinion vote was taken based on Sorry.
Leave her alone.
Alright then. An opinion vote was taken based on the personal view of the House, which read 0 ayes, 28 nays and 4 abstentions. And finally, a casting vote was taken based on Speaker's performance, which read 0 ayes, 11 nays and 4 abstentions. Do you take minutes as read?
Okay, so just a few announcements before we get started. We're also waiting for a speaker. This seat is not just being vacant for tonight. Otherwise, you're first to go to the shift. Okay, so first of all, you might have known yesterday was our schools competition arranged by our acting secretary, Miss Lily Vetter, which went absolutely fantastically. I think there was 10 schools and 20 teams or something like that. It was really well done. And the winners were from St Patrick's Academy, Dungannon, so that was... Yeah, I don't think anybody's from Dungannon here, but Alpha Newspaper Group who sponsored it are in Dungannon, and that was good for them. Trying to like put their name in as much as possible because they sponsored it. Thanks, Alpha. I doubt they listen to our podcast, which is available on our website, iTunes, and Ask Calvin Black wherever he is.
And the link is on Twitter.
And the link's on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else. Okay, so this weekend, you'll be glad to hear, this week is the last time I will announce our IVs, I think. But it is this weekend. I'm really excited. I think we have 3.5 teams. Sort of, there's one sort of split between Dutch universities and Letterfic. But yeah, so 3 teams from Queen's, but we have, I think, like 40 teams overall. So people from, there's England, Scotland, the Republic of Ireland, and Holland, I think. And so Ben's not here, but if you'd like to come, it's in, I think it starts at 12 o'clock in the SU. We see us sort of run around. And we're also going out on Saturday night, so if you can't make it to the debate and you want to come out,
it starts at 11 o'clock in the NBC.
Apologies. Do not go to the Union at 12 o'clock on Saturday. Go to the NBC at 11 on Saturday. It's on Sunday as well. So we'll be having drinks and swimming Saturday and Sunday, so come and join us. And debating as well, that'll be good. Next weekend as well, so the 5th of March, we also have the Montgomery Cup, which is competing against a team from Missouri, I think. Some place in America begins with M. So they're coming over. It's BP style as well. So if anyone would like to speak in that, you'll get the motion on the night. Same thing. So you get the motion, 50 minutes to prepare, and then 7-minute speeches. So if you would like to speak, we'll come to that. It's Saturday, I think it's 7, 5th of March. And final announcement is our AGM is going to be on the 15th of March. But get your election or your nomination in if you would like to be part of Letterfic Council. So there's loads of different roles: president, secretary, outreach officer, external convener. They all do different things, and you can speak to any member of council or speak to me because I've been half of those roles. Just about what you would actually do, about what the process is, and we would ask that you submit a sort of like mini manifesto. So maximum page, but that can have a massive photograph of your face and then one paragraph. So if you'd like to run for those, please send me an email at president@letterfic.org or get in touch with Facebook if you want to know any more information. And next we're on to private members' business. So in order to fill the time, and also because I want to hear your views, does anybody have any private members' business? So this is a chance for you to bring up something in the news, a mini debate, any comments for the council? Yes?
A bit of promotion here, but I'm trying to start up a craft beer and brewing society. Talk to me later on.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
What do people think about free cashier?
Does anybody have any comments on the free cashier movement?
Oh, I don't know, you've got a few.
Is that part of Israel?
Cash is not part of Asia.
Sorry.
Can I just point out?
Council members, please. Gemma. Gemma's a vegan, she's seen hummus. Could somebody who knows a bit more than I do just clarify the sort of free cash movement for any of those who don't know?
Basically,
you can stand up, please.
And your name for the minute.
Cashier has claimed that she's been raped and sexually abused by her manager, producer, there we go, producer, for like 10 years. And
Okay, no back and forth.
no, there's points of clarification as well. But she also came into court 10 years ago, and it,
Just one at a time.
yeah, so
Sorry.
an incident that happened 10 years ago apparently. But like there's been a sustained mental and like emotional abuse that's happened throughout the years, and that's kind of why she's taken him to court, because he is her producer of music and she can't get out of her contract with Sony, and basically she's stuck and needs to escape effectively.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on the topic? No.
Hashtag free cash.
Yes.
She's got a contract.
Yeah.
She can buy herself out of a contract, but she has to pay the money she's got from the company. That's how you buy yourself out of a contract.
Okay.
Um,
Please stop swearing. Yes.
say, yes, it's a contract, but I think it would be proper for Sony to give her a different producer, if anything. Just, for everyone's sake.
Really clarification.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was offered to her, but her issue is in that she's not been offered separate producers, but she doesn't want to work for a company and have the profits for her music go to someone who she feels she feels right her.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Anyone else think that? Yes.
Even if it is a contract, and I don't know almost nothing about it, even if it is a contract that she can't get out of, surely it would be, I don't know, a gesture of goodwill for them to relieve her of it.
Yeah.
Is goodwill involved in capitalism?
This is my debate tonight.
It is when PR was involved.
Yes.
I suppose as well it should be considered that Sony have put an awful lot of effort into Kesha and building her image as well. So it'd be a massive loss to lose her.
Okay. Any further comments on hashtag free Kesha? No? Okay. Does anyone else have any other private members' business? Any topics? Yes.
There's a really racist guy who keeps liking tweets on anything about this week. So I officially distance myself from it.
Wait, is this Bo?
Huh?
Is this Bo?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have him every week. He's like the loyalist tweet we got that house.
Okay. If you're listening, Bo, I don't want you to like my tweets. I want you to go away.
He's from America, it's alright.
He's a loyalist from America.
A loyalist from America?
He just
What?
said
What? What?
No one said he's loyalist.
I thought you said a loyalist.
He's a loyalist.
Sorry about that. Where did we get to? Sorry. Some racist guy liking tweets.
I know, I just want to let him know I'm still lying.
Okay. Please. He does listen to the podcast every single week.
He's a very loyal, dedicated.
He's our most loyal fan. And we are here. Disparaging his name.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's a huge person. That's not disparaging.
Okay.
One person's racism is another person's freedom fighting.
Great.
Oh no, that's terrorist.
It's literally council members. Stop it. Okay, so that was a comment. If you would like to see these tweets, the post of racist tweets at QVLitterific on Twitter. Yes.
If the Litterific arrange a Brexit debate not on a Thursday, so like on a Monday or a Tuesday, would people be interested in coming?
We show of hands. Brexit debate on a day that's apart from Tuesday because our term card is filled up.
Does everyone know what Brexit is?
They will do.
Britain exit. Okay. Thank you, Finn. Thank you for the poll. Okay, I'll take that as a yes because that was the majority of people.
Oh, I want
Yes.
to vote. I want to say.
We can have that vote after.
That wasn't the referendum that just happened.
Yes.
I put forward a motion that we stop referring to it as Brexit and instead refer to it as GBRNI.
Just a point of how you spell spelling zit in this?
Yes.
Okay. Just wondering. Yeah, anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second.
I'm going to have to remember that for next. Okay, so we're going to have a GBRMI zit.
Do you have something more catchy?
Yeah.
Can we call it Kexit?
It's been
For
voted
Kingdom
on.
Exit.
Kexit? Kexit? That sounds dirty.
That sounds like it does in your trousers.
Oh,
Shut up.
how do you know what's in my
Sorry. The opposition are all council member and I'm just sort of staring them down until the bell's not seeming to work. So I'm high level now. Okay. Does anybody have any further private management? Yes, sir.
Has anyone seen my bag?
It's under that table. Finn, private member's business, you have
We ought to just do away with this term Brexit. Right? Because it's an awful term and it is not that hard to say British exit from the EU or UK exit from the EU. If we follow this tradition of Brexit, if at any point in the future the Republic of Ireland has a referendum on EU membership, what we would call that? IREXIT? which, let's be honest, sounds like a provo with a disorder.
I don't think they all have a disorder.
We're not voting that one. Yes.
Okay.
Is this a response to Finn?
No, it's
okay.
It's just me or David Cameron stopping to dye his hair now. He's getting seriously grey. Has anyone else noticed this? Anyone at all? David Cameron's going grey. He stopped dyeing his hair.
At least he's
Is he not getting fatter as well?
Okay,
Oh, well.
so
That happens with the Tories and the largesse.
do you think he should dye his hair or should he go gay?
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
gay.
No, I'm saying, does anyone think this is the case? Do you think this is what's happening, or has he always dyed his hair? Is there a theory that,
He's probably going around like Obama.
Obama's like salt and pepper?
mostly so.
Obama's the worst leader this world's ever seen.
Oh my, okay. Would we
dye people his hair?
Sorry, these are all adults. I think the motion is, would we dye David Cameron's hair? Or this house would dye David Cameron's hair?
Which colour would we dye his hair?
Pink.
That's the question. Yes, Rosie?
The dining claims on expenses.
Hey.
Okay, this house would raise taxes to... No. I think... Shall we... Anyone second that motion?
What, on raising taxes?
No.
No, Diane.
No one wants to second
I'm
that.
walking out the room.
Diane gave
Okay.
my hair hot pink.
Oh, I'm second.
Second it? Okay, we'll have a vote on it. Okay. Okay, we'll have a vote on that. All of those who would dye David Cameron's hair bright pink.
Can I put forward an amendment?
You should take it.
Before we had a vote, yes.
Pink.
Pink.
Pink pink.
Instead of hot pink?
Do you accept it?
I sang it, but that would be such a hard colour to get.
Okay, this house would dye David Cameron's hair pink. I don't think there is one. 14. And all those against?
Should be like a really dark black. Just.
Why look at me? Why look at me?
Okay, and any abstentions in that motion? Okay, I think we'll move on to private members' business so we don't get too rowdy, you know. Does anyone have any president's questions for me, I suppose? It's fine if you don't. Yes.
Madam President, what do you have for Brexit? Oh.
Did you Brexit this morning?
Yeah, that was totally unintentional. Cheese and toast.
Nice.
Huh?
You're a freak.
Why?
I just want to say something.
Okay.
With brown sauce.
Nothing nice to say nothing at all. Any other president's questions? No, Grant, move on to tonight's riveting motion, which is this house believes the Kardashians have ruined society as we know it. So I think most of you have been before, but a quick overview of the rules. We'll go
theory by Craig.
we will be respectful and quiet while other people are talking. Yes. Okay, 7-minute speeches, proposition, opposition, and so forth until the debate finishes. First and last minute of the speeches are protected, so you will hear that by me ringing the bell, and then you can ask questions in the middle 5 minutes. Please keep your POIs brief and to the point, and it is up to the speaker to accept or reject, so just say no, thank you sir, or just sort of wave them down, that's fine. What else is that? Yeah, please just sort of be respectful while other people are talking, because the sort of audience noise sort of gets in the way. And we'll have some questions and answers at the end. So I think that's about it. And I would like to welcome our first speaker this evening, Miss Lee Sock.
It's like a Brit and an Irish thing.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Good evening, everybody. Who are the Kardashians? They play a big part in the American pop culture. Where did it come from? Kimberly Kardashian found fame via sex tape in 2007 and has since made a large fortune despite the fact she's having zero talent and being a negative role model for women everywhere in the world, especially for teenagers. She has her own TV show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, broadcast on the TV channel in USA. Kim was one of the daddy's girl going out with her true BFF, Paris Hilton, and rumors goes around that the sex tape has been published by her mom. Basically, we can talk today about the Kardashian empire. Meanwhile, the Kim empire is rising, our Western society is being eroded. They have produced around 11 seasons, and it's a total of 157 episodes. You can watch it, the family's unfiltered discussions about everything from genitalia aesthetics to the trail of divorce to entice audience on turning into watch the carefully calculated exhibitionism. Oh, how interesting is to see crying Kendall and Kylie talking about their periods, or Kim crying again. The online magazine Fox Business estimates Kim wealth at $85 million. In addition to that, the number of family followers in social networks is rapidly approaching the population of USA, 321 million. Either you love or hate them, it is undeniable, fascinating cultural phenomenon. They prove there is nothing better product except yourself. It is encouraging narcissism. The crazy family have a level of unprecedented exposure. But the problem is that they don't encourage a good life model, being well known without any talent. Well, except maybe the very famous and intellectual song, Paper in My Jam. When I was a child and later a teenager, I was reading. No, I'm not a nerd. I was reading fairy tale with a moral at the end. It was entertaining and educational. For example, Cinderella challenged her terrible stepmother, free her from slavery to find love. Now children dumb themselves watching brain dead TV reality show. Unfortunately, this kind of broadcasts are shown after school on public channel without state control. They see beautiful, rich and superficial girls making money by posting selfie, and they take this as a model. The embarrassing fame Kim has acquired teaches kids on the ideal life that you can achieve with effortless celebrity and mainly without respect. Some sources have shown that the culture of bitchiness has increased at school due to the influence of reality TV shows. Even unconsciously being exposed to displays of disrespectful behavior, such as gossip, on television makes children believe that it's an acceptable norm. It is understandable to watch them because they are funny, entertaining, and endearing because they are full of flaws like us. The public can identify itself with them. Oh, how good it is after a tiring work day to just relax on your couch and don't think of anything. It is true how smart this family makes you feel. But watching them make your IQ lower every second. Sorry, but not sorry, Craig. Stop watching it. Be safe. Be smart. We are adults, at least under the law, so we have enough critical thought to take distance of what we are watching. But when you're a teenager and you have to face a lot of things, including boobs growing, black spots, and basically body changes, it's very hard. The newspaper, The Guardian, asked a teenager if they see the Kardashians as models. One of the teens, Victoria, replied, there is a stereotype and it's quite hard to battle against. The pressure is to be perfect woman, but not really work for anything. And that's the main problem. Those girls promote a model of perfect body and girls feel like they have to fit it. It is a sort of objectification of the body. Now I'm talking about my... Yeah?
I think that actually is a good... it's not great as objectifying, but we need to think that also extremely skinny models are being used as examples of perfection, and the Kardashians are actually, quite.
Yes, but in that case, I can say I don't have big boob enough. So I'm talking about my personal experience. I felt especially insecure about not being thin enough. I felt rejected by most of the boys. Well, it's not really true, but because I wasn't good enough looking and subjecting myself to insanely restrictive diets. In the end, it didn't help me at all to feel more confident, and it could cause serious dietary trouble such as anorexia. But it's not the only matter affecting teenagers, because this kind of subjecting still follow me everywhere. For example, when I'm going clubbing with tall and thin friends, I usually end the party alone, whereas they are making out with boys. I end up talking with the most drunken lad of the nightclub because I am bored. Wow, I can't believe I managed to talk about the Kardashians without discussing Kim's booty until now. Okay, we all know her ass is exceptionally big, and her IQ is inversely proportionate to it. She gives a miserable image of women, and the same model as Adblock, Cardblock has been created. Kim claims to be a feminist, but she leaves nothing to the imagination as regards her feminine curves. On one hand, we can say that the Kardashians, with their hourglass silhouette, embodies female curves and bring it back into fashion. But in the other hand, they sexualize the female body and reduces females to sexual subjects. Plastic surgery is also a big issue. The Kardashians are honest about their firstness. To quote Kim Kardashian West, why don't change something you feel insecure about? So, she's basically saying promoting plastic surgery is a solution to feel comfortable with yourself. It seems to me that loving oneself is accepting our imperfection, not seeking at any price to have the perfect plastic surgery Barbie fake body. The Kardashian family is probably the most visible symptom of our society's particular sickness. However, I do not think that they have completely ruined society as we know it today. It is giving them too much importance. Again, the point is that girls and boys need to grow up with their greater ambition than becoming the next Kim Kardashian or owning countless designer purses that are more expensive than a monthly wage.
It's fine. Okay, we'll do the questions at the end.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we get another round of applause, please? Yes, and I'd like to welcome the first speaker for the opposition, Mr. Robert Whitehurst.
Robert? Thank you all for coming along this evening. A slight response to the proposition.
Whenever they say that Kim Kardashian is all of these things and she is terrible, myself, I cannot speak for Owen, I'm probably more likely Craig, but I agree. I am not going to stand here for 7 minutes and defend Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians in general for what they do. But I would like to point out one thing. She said Kim Kardashian claims to be a feminist and yet shows a lot of skin. She claims to be a feminist and does what she wants with her body as a woman. Is that such a crime? I wouldn't say so. I would like to begin by saying that I could very easily stand up and say, I could point towards things that are probably more likely ruining society, like income equality, racism, Jeremy Hunt, but I will instead stand up and say that I'm primarily going to talk about how to try and group society together, like as a whole, and say that they are affected by one such minor issue as one family would be naive in general. And I'm also going to say that, you know, to assume that one family has so permeated the lives of individuals in society would just be doing a disservice to our individual, our autonomy as people. Not to be bought in by this, no thank you. I'll begin by saying that, and then Owen will move on to talk about the Kardashian promotion of fertility, body image, and religion, before Craig Miller, I'm told, will go on to talk about how the Kardashians are a modern-day Shakespeare play, and also briefly touch on the free market. I look forward. Before I get into the meat of my speech, I would like to just give you a few of my favourite quotes from Dan Lewis. René Descartes once said, "Je pense donc je suis." I think, therefore I am. Albert Einstein once said, "Killing under the cloak of war is nothing more than an act of murder." And in 2010, Kim Kardashian said, "I love the sun, but I don't have the time to get a good tan and keep it all year round. So I'm a huge fan of tanning products." Thank you very much. To go back to my original point, to say that society, to put it into one context and say that this one family has so permeated that it has been ruined. To say that the Kardashians are obviously these horrible, vacuous people. They really are. It's nothing television. I at least pointed out and said that there is 156 episodes or whatever. People don't watch these episodes for their cutting, fierce political theory. I don't think I've heard Kim talk about her opinion on Hobbesian rights and the natural law of man. People watch it to have something on in the background. Not everyone watches it and uses it as gospel for how to live their lives. In this way, I would say it was a huge, huge fraction of people that would tune into the Kardashians and say, yes, this is my life. From my personal experience, I lived in a hall with 12 girls last year, and it was on constantly, and not once did any of them say, yes, Kim, preach it, sister. It was like, oh my god, what a bitch. No, thank you. And also, you also mentioned the wonderful phrase, the culture of bitchiness. Does that come in an arbitrary figure? Like, as culture of bitchiness rises, does something else fall? It's also very easy to say that it leads into my point that society as a whole isn't affected by the Kardashians, it's affected by a general cultural shift, which has so come across in the 21st century. A much higher... No, thank you, sir. A problem that we should really be looking forward... A problem that we should be looking to tackle more would be the issue of the wider sense of materialism, and more importantly the glamour industry that issue with female body image and Photoshop. And Kim Kardashian does not embody that entire thing, no matter how much proposition may make us think that. But yes, I did slightly mock Craig's what Craig went into in terms of his free market, but it's the will of the individual to tune into this and endorse this and buy these things. No, thank you, sir. I follow Kylie Jenner on Instagram, of course, as I do. And she sells these new lip gloss kits, and they sell out within about 0.3 of a second. Oh, and you're nodding your head, I've seen before. And it's a case of people can buy these things if they want, they can endorse these things if they want. No one's under any obligation. Society, no thank you. No thank you. Society as a whole is under no real stress or strain to be ruined by this oppression of the Kardashians that seems to be coming out. It's a proposition like to believe. To say that I'm not going to stand up here and talk about the Kardashians too frequently, but I will say the people who talk about and say, get on Twitter and very actively say that, people are liking the Kardashians. These are the exact, I'm going to offend people here, but these people are you get people in their mother's basement who sit there and talk about the loony left and say, PC culture has gone mad. People must be changed like this. It's thin bar. people sit there and they can go, oh my word, people stand up here and they actually believe these things. Well, yes, an awful lot of people do these things and like these things. Are you going to go up to every single one of these people and say, no, how very dare you? You like the wrong things. You should sit down. It seems to be just, why? It seems to be a general misunderstanding. I shan't bore you too much longer. No, thank you. I would just like to end with one of my favourite seminal tunes from 2011, which was Kim Kardashian's Jam, Turn It Up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me. Turn me. Turn me up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would now like to welcome, continuing for the proposition, Mr. Michael Bates.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I'm going to try to make this a bit shorter than usual, but who knows, I might have made it too long. So if it was too short, I'm just going to sort of leave myself space at the end to go off on some sort of tangent or rebuttal or something like that to sort of address some of the points that I've heard so far from the opposition. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with what Leeds has expertly presented to us about the negative effects of the 2010s society's infatuation with the Kardashian movements. But I'm going to do this by exploring in depth some of the more damaging social trends which have been exacerbated by their incessant peacocking lifestyles. So I'm going to start with the phenomenon of selfies. Okay, now we're all guilty of buying into this fad, myself included, which has rapidly gained an insurmountable presence in millennial culture. The ubiquitous popularity and usage of things like Snapchat, Instagram, Tumblr, and even some of the more insalubrious social media outlets such as Tinder, also Grindr, demonstrate that we have become a generation obsessed with churning out endless self-portraits for seemingly, if nothing else, the purpose of self-celebration, self-veneration, and overall a highly self-centered approach to socializing with each other. The rise of such outlets has seen individuals like the Kardashians seize the opportunity to become self-appointed archetypes for using such social media. They are what we aspire to when we go on these platforms. Because of this, the blame for some of the worst successes of our generation lie with them. Because of Kim, Chloe, Chris et al. Seeing fit to glut the net with images of their overly coiffed, painstakingly painted faces, we have been brainwashed into following suit. No longer do we idolise great musicians or talented individuals to the same extent, but the Kardashians of the world have poisoned our values in terms of pop culture. Our priorities have become much more skewed in other areas. Many terminally ill children out there cannot attract donations for new vital organs, and no thank you. And yet Kanye West, a supreme paragon of arrogance and megalomania, has attracted thousands of dollars in crowdfunding for his recent financial troubles, and I use that term very...
Oh, that one, sir.
Yeah. There are factors which have influenced the rise of the Kardashian-esque selfie. No longer does the practice of taking a photo these days involve the once perhaps tedious necessity of bringing out a rather large camera back in the day and uploading these manually, or even perhaps having them developed like we used to do in like the 90s and the 90s. Nowadays, with the advent of how connected we are to the internet via social media, it seems we just really can't stop ourselves from snapping our mugs constantly throughout the day and showing off like cattle at market to anyone and everyone who will watch. No thank you. We no longer take photographs either of ourselves or indeed of other things, such as our meals and nice landscapes or sceneries, without relating it back to some sense of ourself, without some way of affirming our own identity, our own look. Though I cannot fully, no thank you, charge Kim Kardashian for the common snare nowadays where everyone sits on their phone and doesn't talk to each other, it's figures like her who represent everything which has contributed and which is wrong with this picture that we're seeing now in large. Yes, go ahead.
Again, that comes into what I was saying. This isn't this one family that has supported this entire stereotype that people just look at their phones. Kim Kardashian herself hasn't told us to stop having conversations. This is a result of wider society that they happen to be
Yes,
a part
that's
of.
exactly my point. I'm saying they are symptomatic and they are one of the root kind of causes. They're like a catch-all kind of. She's the poster girl for what's wrong with today's society, and she exacerbates it by continuing to be like that and providing a massively disproportionate profile in the media. So Kim Kardashian has carved for herself a career around publishing endless torrents of herself, images of herself, for more or less gratuitous purposes. It's not art, it's not inspirational, she isn't providing any entertainment or groundbreaking distraction, she's just reinforcing a notion of vanity and arguably self-prostitution. We are nothing social habits believe if we can't attract enough likes in our photos. If you think about it, this banal, absurd preoccupation with procuring an empty and meaningless endorsement from strangers online is quite alarming, and it makes us slaves of our own insecurity. We thrive off attention and are becoming addicted to it. Addictions of all forms, we know, have an unfortunate tendency to drive us into self-destructive and harmful behaviour. There is a reason why vanity has been considered the central member of the Bible's 7 deadly sins. And if you place much value on Christian dogma, and I've heard quite a few people these days do that, apparently, you can see that the inherent logic in that vanity begets selfishness of all kinds. We have sacrificed our humility and decency in extreme cases in the pursuit of auto-glorification, such as what Kim Kardashian promotes. Many of you may have read recently about the baby dolphin that was passed around a beach around a crowd of people clamouring to take a selfie with it.
On that point.
Only to die shortly after. Not even the purity and beauty of nature is sacred, and anything is gained for juxtaposing it alongside our own self-promotion. Furthermore, if we can dust off the memories of the days of the rather more primitive social media sites like Bebo and MySpace, although we did then days take a lot of photos ourselves, arguably the quality of these photos and the looks that we sported in them were questionable at best. But now, with apps such as Instagram, which facilitate quick and easy manipulation of images to convey a facade of perfection and professionalism, such as what Kim Kardashian has almost created a kind of niche for herself, has been famous for. We've seen now that young people are setting themselves a very unrealistic and very high pressure benchmark. No longer it seems these days is common to have a very difficult adolescence where it's okay to sort of have spots or maybe not fit in with the right crowd. There are 14-year-olds out there who have 10 times more Instagram followers than I do. You know what I mean? And when I was 14, I was on Vampire Freaks, and I thought I was cool for getting rated 10 from strangers from like Utah. But that's what it's become now. We're not giving any grace for our period of adolescence. We're just kind of being forced to adhere to this HD picture perfect standard. That's Kim Kardashian and her coterie of contemporaries would have us buy into. So, in conclusion, I argue that the privileged position and the excessive following of people like the Kardashians, I'm using it figuratively, I'm interpreting this motion quite liberally, in our society today shows that we've lost sight of what is important, what is real, what holds permanence, and now we have become mindless, social hedonists who are interested only in the transience, in the shallow, and in the skin-deep minutiae. Our society is broken.
Thank you very much for that. And continuing for the opposition is Mr. Owen Pond.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm here to prove to you all that the Kardashians are indeed enhancing society as we know it. So I'm going to start with the point of rebuttal. Just on something Michael said about how selfies are diminishing society as we know it and they're ruining it. But in fact, Kim Kardashian's debut literature, her picture book, Selfish, a percentage of the proceeds actually do go to charity, so they are helping people. Boom.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start my speech tonight with a quote. The quote comes from Kylie Jenner, stating earlier this year, 2016 is going to be like a year of realizing stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what you're going to do tonight. You will be realizing that Kardashians are a wealth of talents, products, inspiration, and advice that they can bring to us all. Some people say that the Kardashians are only famous for sex and murder, which Mr. Craig Miller will be expanding on tonight, stating that it is no different than a Shakespearean play, and he was very famous. So perhaps one thing that has made and continues to make the Kardashians so successful is their consistent focus on real people and real issues. Makes them completely relatable to everybody and everyone, like me and like we all. No, thank you. For example, in episodes they often cover things like relationship problems, like between Courtney and Scott, or highlight sisterly issues between the 3 Kardashian sisters and the 2 Jenners.
I'm not quite sure.
No, thank you. As well as relationships between the mother and the kids, and other personal problems. No, thank you. Each episode also ends with some sort of revelation and resolution, as well as amazing makeup and fashion tips. No, thank you. So, the Kardashians live and share their lives so openly, and so can be an inspiration to all of us. Their open book lives and characters can lead to portraying stories of struggles and resolutions which can help us to grow as people as well. So my first point looks at how they can live their life and their work life as an extension of that. For example, they make a huge sum of money from living their own lives. Before they became famous, they ran a fashion store, they went about buying groceries, and now they make money by doing that. Wouldn't you all like to do that? I think that's inspirational. Like, can you think of anything better?
No.
Pause for lols.
Please clap.
Some of you might think that it's impossible to make your work an extension of your life, but for me personally, this isn't the case. I used to work in my day job in L'Oreal, slogging 12-hour days because of the intensity of the work. Hashtag may not be true. 1 year of that and I decided to quit my job and pursue my passion. Today my work isn't work. It's just something...
You can't refuse to just...
Oh right, yes.
It was a 1 year placement.
After 1 year I quit. But my work now is just something I do naturally as part of my everyday life. Growing, sharing my reflections and helping others to grow. Do we just live to pay bills and die?
Oh, that's fine,
No,
sir.
no thank you. Of course, turning your passion into a career and subsequently making a living by simply going about your daily routine isn't something that happens overnight, and isn't something that just goes snap and makes happen. But it is very possible, and with the inspiration of the Kardashians, we can see that that's possible. No, thank you. I'm now going to move on to talk about body image. So, 80% of children in America who are at the age of 10 years to 12 years are afraid of becoming fat, according to heartoflove.com. So, you would be hard-pressed to find a woman who wouldn't swap out Kim Kardashian's body for their own. But that wasn't always the case. From the past 30 years, stick thin used to be the aspirational body type. But as some, like the Kardashians, have shown, having a butt isn't something to be ashamed of.
Hear, hear.
As Tina Fey jokes in her memoirs, the person closest to actually achieving the perfect body is Kim Kardashian.
Sir?
Yes, James.
Get real.
Huh?
Get real.
I am being real. I'm hitting real issues with real people. And it's not just... I'm now going to move on to fertility issues. So having not come with these issues myself, it is something I know a lot of people can relate to. There are hundreds of thousands of couples trying to get pregnant right now and facing challenges they might not expect. So when someone who seems to have everything open up and is going through it, it can make it a little bit better for them. Kim, when pregnant with her second child, Saint, allowed Keeping Up with Kardashians to document her fertility treatments, as well as emotional turmoil she faced throughout trying to get pregnant. To quote her, "Meeting people at my fertility doctor's office who are going through the same thing as me, I'm going through it too. I thought, sure, why not share my story?" she told Glamour magazine. Chloe has also been very public with her pregnancy struggles and through certain aspects of the reality show. So it's something a lot of women can relate to and hopefully take something from. So the last bulk of my main argument is religion. So it is a little known fact that Kris Jenner, the momager of the Kardashian family, has founded her own church. the Californian Community Church, which has 5 core values, which spell out church, which I thought was like...
6 letters in church.
Oh.
What do they spell?
But there's 2 C's, so...
Carry on, please.
The first C stands for Christ-centered. And we can take so much from Jesus, and he is our Savior and leader. The H stands for heart for the hurting. That we can have a sense of compassion for those hurting or undergoing reconstructive surgery or recovering from plastic surgery. The U stands for uncommon acceptance. So basically anyone can join the church. R stands for relevant in the culture. So it's taking the ancient scripture and making it relevant for people today without changing the base. The second C, which was actually different, is caring and relationships. So they're basically open to homosexuals or everyone joining the church and praising Jesus. And the final one is H for hope, because there's always a hope for a fresh start. So no matter who you are, you can join this church. For the small fee of $1,000 a month of your income. Not joking. Stop talking. So, other things that the Kardashians, just to sum up, like transgender awareness, interracial couple promotion. Kim Kardashian once wore to school a posh Spice outfit, which in a way is pro-UK, which in a way is pro-Brexit. Or GBRNI, no matter what way you look at it. As well as that, I need to conclude. Okay. So I don't agree with some things that the Kardashians do, such as how Kim wears fur, Kim and Kris over-materialize their tendencies and somewhat disrespect their mum, and Kris's tendencies to plastic surgery to address her self-image problems. They may be the butt of many jokes, however, I think there is important things that we can learn from the family, as I presented in the lessons above, to do with social integrity, apparently. Even if you do not like the Kardashians, the fact that they are incredibly successful and accomplished today, I think it is more important to learn from others rather than to become a dictator simply because they do not agree with them or like them. I hope you can all take something today away from my speech. I'd like to end with a quote from Kim. No matter how long you've had a dream, it can still come true if you persevere. Thank you.
Aww.
Thank you very much. Well, grammar lessons and that too. I would like to welcome the closing speaker for the proposition, Miss Catherine Sinead Burns.
Hello. So I think I'm just going to start with a couple of rebuttals. So first of all, I don't think I've ever heard anything more ridiculous than the Kardashians talking about real people, real issues. Okay, so this is coming from a family that glorify themselves. Like me and my family, yeah, we're pretty normal, pretty standard. Like if my sister wanted to get ass implants, I probably would be like, please don't. So I'd be like, yes, this is so normal. I think I'll get it too. So I really don't agree with that. Fashion tips. Now this is a good one. If anybody's seen Kim Kardashian, or indeed many of the Kardashians recently, Kim decides to wear these like wee latex dresses that just looks like she's got into a giant condom. She has no fashion style whatsoever. So yeah, don't agree with that either. Making money from the everyday. I'm sorry, but like Kim Kardashian made her like big bucks from sex tapes. So if that's an everyday notion,
On that point.
no. If that's an everyday notion, I'm a bit worried. I mean, no. I wouldn't really want, say, my own sister or a daughter going, yeah, no, I see for my first like $1,000, I'm just gonna get jiggy with it down here. No. So, where am I? Yes. So having a butt isn't something to be ashamed of. I thought that was quite good because I've had quite a big bum and I'm not really ashamed of mine. But I would be ashamed of Kim Kardashian's bum because it's not a bum. It is fake. It is made from something that's not even of this world.
On that point.
And like Chloe as well, she's another one that was like, oh yeah, this is definitely my ass. I just do like 10 squats a day and it's done. Which would be great if it was true, but it's not. So yeah, a couple of issues there. Rob, in terms of some of your points, yes, I agree that the debate's not necessarily about the larger social and economic problems, but they are symptomatic of such social and economic problems that we ignore the kind of real underlying issues in favour of them.
On that point.
Okay.
It's very easy to say like, oh, why are you boys playing football? You should be inside doing philosophy lessons. In this case, you're not going to just make them do something else. People are interested in what they want to be interested in. It's very difficult to say, no, go and do this instead.
No, I agree. People should follow with what they're interested in, but I don't agree with some of the things that they are interested in being spread to millions and millions of people. Completely unadulterated. In addition, the oppression of the Kardashians, which you spoke about, is untrue because it's not the oppression that they don't necessarily oppress anybody. It's the influence of what they have that's dangerous. It's the influence of what they believe and what they spout and what they pander to us every single day. As I said before, I would hate to be 14, 15 now. See, whenever I was 14, 15, the biggest thing that I looked up to was S Club 7, right? The most dangerous thing that was ever going to happen to me was that I was going to cut off all my hair and I can't share. And yeah, that would have been great at the time, but horrific. Now there's so much exposure to such dangerous aspects of the world. And I think the Kardashians are quite dangerous in that they glorify it and embrace it so easily. So, what I'm going to do now is kind of go on from some of Michael and Lisa's points. So these made really good points about the Kardashians being negative role models. As I spoke a lot about, they are. For example, somebody mentioned sexualising the body, which Kim Kardashian has done. I'm sure everybody saw the Break the Internet, in which she tried to unsuccessfully mimic a picture from a long time ago that was quite racially disturbing on her part. What she did then was she sexualised herself to such an extreme that in her mind, breaking the internet by doing so was completely fine. This was completely acceptable. This is what she wanted to do. I don't know if she already had her child at the time, but if ever I grew up and realised that after my mum had me, she tried to break the internet with that picture, I would be disgusted.
On that point.
Yes.
These are quite archaic views of women and mothers.
No, it's not really. It's not really wrong because I will get to a point eventually. What I'm trying to put across is that the Kardashians have created a lot of controversy with what they choose to do. I'm not about sort of stopping women from, if they do want to break the internet by putting a glass of champagne in their arse, that's absolutely fine. Like, you go girl, you do that. I just don't agree with the way that the Kardashians portray that. Yes,
No.
go ahead.
No.
Sorry. Okay. So, and Michael also gave some really good points, the issues of kind of sort of selfies being like a symptom of sort of underlying social issues is a good point because the sort of self-praise self-culture does give an egocentric view of the kind of socialisation that we go through now, which is very true because I don't know how many times I've been a night out and someone's like, selfie! And you're literally in the middle of the club standing there, no, delete that, no, here, wrong side of the face. Yes,
I think quite a few selfies or self-portraits came out of the romantic period as well. And Van Gogh spent a lot more time on his.
I wonder in the romantic sort of period, I know we've also the memes or memes or whatever you call them, but it's like, oh my god, Bartholomew, no, do that again. It's the same sort of concept, right? We have got so used to now being obsessed with ourselves and how we look and how we're meant to look and what we should look like and who tells us that we lose sight of a lot of the really deeper issues that we need to sort of take into consideration. The obsession with the Kardashians, celebrity culture, body image and consumerism is a symptom of today's society. We obsess with vacuous individuals, groups, trends, TV shows and ideas, perhaps to escape the mundane sort of nature of our everyday lives, but we should not be focusing on, however, we should be focusing on our lives, our society, instead of being sucked in to the ridiculousness of consumer-driven celebrity culture. That is what I feel the Kardashians represent. Perhaps the most disturbing thing is not Kylie Jenner's lips or Kim K's bum, but our willingness to accept a society that revels in it. A society that would rather focus on such things just appears doomed. We focus more on the silliness of Kanye begging for money than we do in the millions of children living in poverty, for example. We congratulate Caitlyn Jenner in her transition, but fail to accept our own trans community. We need to stop and we need to recognise that the Kardashians are vapid and pointless creatures, and everybody just do the Kardashians a favour and stop talking about them so we never have to have this debate again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and you can help choose the topics for next semester in June. Now I'd like to welcome closing for the opposition closing the debate tonight, Ms.
Oh my god, we shut out court.
God. So look, seeing as I wanted to start off this debate, how I start off every debate. Right, which is I look at Wikipedia and I try and find jokes I think are going to be appropriate. I find none. Generally ask Robbie or Ben if they're appropriate, they tell me no. But today's Wikipedia was broken, so I came with absolutely nothing prepared. But I think the proposition have actually left me with quite a lot of things to actually say today. Firstly, Kim has talent. I've seen the video. So look, Op will concede the Kardashians are pond life. They are absolute pond life. They offer nothing. The bottom line is, I don't believe they're the ones who have destroyed society as we know it. I barely believe in society, to use a Margaret Thatcher line. But I'm not going to go down that line either. Look, if you think about it, the Kardashians first came on TV in 2007. Facebook came around before that. I think Facebook's probably got a bit more to say about where we are in society than the Kardashians have. They also failed to mention the fact that this all started with the Kardashians when their dad got a murderer off of murdering somebody. And that was actually where the Kardashians came from, and I would have thought they would be harping down that line, but they chose not to. I'll help them out again here. Basically, the whole point of keeping up with the Kardashians, I think, is a bigger problem than the Kardashians themselves. Keeping up basically implies spend as much as they do, get yourself into $53 million worth of debt. But I'm still helping them here. So let me just carry on to my side of the debate. And I actually thought I would be the first person to bring up the Bible, and I'm the third person, which I'm quite shocked at right now. But look, so in the Old Testament and the New Testament alike, it talks about gossiping, which is ultimately what that entire programme is about. So 3,500 years ago, we wrote about this stuff. It's nothing new. To even state that the Kardashians are the cause of the problem is absolute nonsense. This is just human nature. And I think that's the first thing. I know people laughed when I said this is just, well, when Robbie said that I believe this is just Shakespeare reenacted. That's all it is. Look at a Shakespeare play. You've got romance, you've got tragedy, and then there's comedy thrown in. That is all that the Kardashians are. It's just a modern day Shakespeare play. Literally nothing has changed. I'm not going to stand up here and start talking about the perception of the female body. I'm completely the wrong person to do that. But I will add a couple of points because I want to. But basically, when you look at what's happened in terms of the way the female body has been put into the media, you'll see Marilyn Monroe, I think, in about the 1960s, and then you'll see in Vogue magazine in the 1980s this transition from what I would have perceived as attractive back then to this size 0 model in the 1980s. This has nothing to do with the Kardashians. Absolutely nothing. So what opposition went down is they've ruined the way that females are seen in society. This was done in the 80s, a good 27 years prior to the Kardashians being on TV.
Sir.
No, this is nothing. to do with them. They are just a bit part thing in a massive issue. Look, as I've said, the Kardashians are pond life. They are not responsible for the way that society is. Now, I'm going to talk about where I think that has gone wrong in society right now. And if you look at what's happened in terms of since Adam Smith came up with the free market economy, right, in the 1770s, right, you'll see a chap writing about how we need to look after our own self-interests with sympathy for other people. And that's what he writes about. You then have the neo-corporatism that occurred post-Second World War, right, which basically put the corporation as the pinnacle. And this was backed up by a law in 1919 in Ford versus Dodge, where basically Ford were told they are not allowed to look after anything other than their own profit. So you've got a situation whereby you've got neo-corporatisation post-Second World War, backed up by a law that predated it in 1919, where basically a company can get sued if they don't do absolutely everything they can to earn as much money as possible. And that to me is where society has gone wrong. Okay? And I know you find it very funny, but if you think about it...
On that point, sir?
Yeah, go on.
What way does that have anything to do with the Kardashians?
I'm explaining it right now. We're standing up here, you're standing up here and saying that the Kardashians are the thing that has driven society away from where we knew it. That's what you're trying to get up here and saying. You've done a job in demonising the Kardashians. I'll agree with you there. But that demonisation has not transferred over into how that is the problems that we face in society today.
Yeah. But
That's the crux of this. It's not if they're good or bad. They are bad. I'm sorry, Owen. They are bad. But the bottom line here is that if you rely on the way that we have unethical business that's touting profit as the single most important agenda in their life, without any regard for anybody else, without any sympathy for anything else that they do, without any sort of repercussions for their actions, that's the society we live in today. And that is the problem from a law that was passed in 1919 that was, I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you think about it, everything that we are dealing with today is due to unethical free market trade. That's the bottom line. No one cares about anything other than themselves. And it was put into law in 1919 that you don't have to. So the model that we've been using as the free market trade that we basically brought up in, when was it? I think it was 1780. Has basically been blown out the window in 1919. So what we thought were we actually were going to have sympathy for other people, which basically would have ended the rot in society today, and if we actually still had that, would have ended it, and we wouldn't have those problems that we do, was blown out of the water. Therefore, it's nothing to do with the Kardashians. They're a bit part picture, right, in a massive ocean of nonsense. A bit like my speech today. But bottom line is, I don't think the Kardashians, yes, bad, good, great, but they're nothing in relation to what else is going on in the world. And that's my speech, so vote with us. And leave the EU.
As always, sorry, were you speaking?
Can I get a point of order?
Sure.
I thought there was no political statements actually.
That's, yeah, just, as always, the views of individual speakers do not represent the Labour as a whole, and please stop trying to put political mantra in speeches. Another more societally relevant point. So James in the corner is tweeting for the Nerfic at QB the Nerfic if you want to have a look. And the tweet was it was regarding Owen's speech. He makes a butt pun. We have plumbed new depths. Okay, grand. So then, right, butt who is at robotbot69, who's retweeted us. And he said their description is, this is just a bot that retweets anything with the word butt in it. Help me, butt, you're my only hope. So if that's not a response to Owen's speech, I don't know what is. Anyway, so moving on to questions. So we take questions for the proposition, opposition, and abstaining the motion. So does anybody have any questions for the proposition tonight?
Please state your name when you do it.
Yes, and state your name for the minutes if you don't mind. So, these guys. No, okay. Sure.
Hi. Well, it's been said, my name is Jeremy. Well, I think the opposition touched on it, and but I just thought I'd restate it or re-ask this question. I've heard in your speeches you often mention things like Kardashians are symptomatic of such and such, or they represent such and such. But isn't that getting the causality reversed? Because if they represent or are symptomatic of something, that means the something, the society, has actually created them rather than vice versa. And also, a second question, how long do you think they could sustain their popularity and the viewings should they not be exactly what people want to watch? So, yeah.
I'll take this. Yeah. When I said that they were symptomatic to today's society, you're absolutely right in saying yes, they've been created by today's society. But I'm not trying to sound too circular in my logic here, but it's kind of reciprocal. Yes, they've been created by other factors that have happened in society, you know, a sort of social movement, but they themselves now have sort of mutated. They've like went beyond that. They've become this grotesque kind of thing that has just, I know that they play a small part in the overall thing, but they play such a disproportionately large part in Western middle class, whatever, and working class awareness that I think they, if anyone, they're a good candidate to charge with the ruination of today's society, because today's society being ruined, it's far too large a concept to pin down to one actual reason. But I think if there was going to be a big one, especially in terms of how we socialise each other and that sort of thing, then I think they are a good sort of party to lay the blame by. Oh, and yes, how long are they going to sustain the fame? I have no idea, but let's hope not too long.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to skip responses now just so we can get more questions in. So does anyone have any questions for the opposition? This side. Yes, bot 69.
So I think you guys have a pretty spurious notion of how human freedom responds to society, and I know I've lost creative with respond. So Rob and Owen talked about it like, oh well, if there is anything wrong with Kardashians, the fault's sort of really at the feet of the consumer because they choose to consume this. And I think that's a completely non-sequitur. People don't make choices, like such free choices. People are partly forced in the media environments they were presented with, and the elites who control media environments have a large say in what people do and think. It's not saying we're some kind of, we live in an Orwellian state, not at all, but it would be equally ridiculous to deny that media has an impact on how we view ourselves and how we view the world around us. And your speech, by placing a burden on the consumer, I think you're doing an incorrect and actually immoral thing, in that you're taking away responsibility for producers of media and you're placing them on people who are forced to consume it.
Okay, thank you. Brief response to the opposition, please.
Effectively, the only way around what you just said is by having more state control over what's on TV. No, it is, because if you basically stop that being on TV, you've got state control over what is on TV. That is it.
Would you like point of clarification, or
yeah,
for another response? There's no back and forth.
I did not send you it in order to mention anything about the state.
No, because you basically said that it shouldn't be on TV, it's on the consumer, right? And if it's therefore it's on the consumer, or not going to be on the consumer, it's going to be on the people that are putting it on TV. So that means that somebody's got to say it can't be on TV, which means you need more state control to say what can and can't be on TV. And I'm sorry, I can't stand up here and ever support the notion that we're going to have massive state control over what we do and don't put on our TV stations.
Nothing to do with
Okay. Move on to point, we're going to skip responses. Of abstaining on the motion, any points sort of on the motion, anything people missed, anything you thought was particularly well thought out, shown speech? Yes, Finn.
Expanding on the valid point made by the opposition, the Shakespeare point. When Shakespeare became Shakespeare, the historic figure that we know him as, by becoming popular in his own era. And the way he did that was appealing to the lowest common denominator of comedy. Now, now Romeo and Juliet, which is regarded as one of the greatest tragedies of all time, is not really a tragedy when you consider that die was an Elizabethan euphemism for orgasm. Now, think of if anyone was afraid of spoilers, close your ears now. Bear in mind, Juliet fakes her death. Romeo dies first. Then Juliet takes a dagger and finishes herself off. But because of the flowery language, we consider him to be one of the greatest story actors who ever lived. And now, bring it back into the modern era. The Kardashians are not to blame in themselves. They are just a drop in a big and awful ocean, effectively the Thames. It's not their fault, it is the system which they operate in and which has allowed them to flourish. They are not the people who put a camera in their faces most of the time. If TV production companies didn't want to hit the lowest common denominator, but instead wanted to raise it, we wouldn't have this problem. They would just be the strange wee family taking pictures of themselves, putting them onto their Twitter page with about 40 followers. And that's another thing. Twitter.
Briefly.
But it's all part of this wider culture where your life doesn't count, or doesn't count for as much if it's not happening in public. And so if someone gives us part of their lives, then we're entitled to all of it. And there's a general culture that's making us meaner and less empathetic as people. And that's well.
Okay, thank you. Brief responses? It's okay.
I want to. Right. Okay, the thing about Shakespeare and die, wow, blew my mind. That's. But yeah, I agree with what you say about the when you're entitled, you see something part of someone's life, so therefore you're entitled to all of it. That's valid. That's a valid point to make, and I would completely support that. But I will say the thing about the Kardashians is they are voluntarily buying into that. They're voluntarily,
and we're buying it.
Back and forth.
Prostrating themselves on the altar of this whole materialistic buy-in society we have now. This sort of see all, expose all, celebrity Big Brother, whatever kind of, all that sort of things that have such a big place inside now. And I will say, people who have profited, I think they've profited probably the most of any reality TV stars. The Kardashians, they have the biggest empire in terms of one family that are producers, and I think they of all people should be the ones who should be blamed the most for that kind of mindset that you should offer yourself up, prostitute yourself online. Sir, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Brief response to opposition?
Don't have much to respond to, but if you appeal to television companies to raise the lowest common denominator, who's going to watch that? Doesn't really make much business sense if it's just question time constantly. Okay, thank you. I don't understand. You said "die" was like a pun for orgasm. Liz, am I right in saying that in French the word for orgasm is like petit mort, as in like little death? Yeah, I found that interesting.
English player. Okay, yeah. Done there any questions? Any questions for the proposition, these guys? Yes.
I don't really know much about the Kardashians, so excuse me if I get some names wrong. And I'm sorry for making this a little bit too serious, because I'm sure it's supposed to be a little bit of a jokey debate. But should we not be inspired by Chris's mum, isn't she?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so.
Inspired? We should be quite inspired by Kris Kardashian for is it Kris Jenner? For like how she's created this brand and how she's made, like, granted they had money before, but how she's made so much money out of the Kardashian brand, and how do you not think she's a good example of an entrepreneur in the way she's developed the family?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, making money on a sex tape is dirty money, so. Even if they are rich now, there is no interest. I mean, that's it.
Okay. No responses. You can finish in the house bar afterwards, about half 8. Not half 8, like 10 to 9. Okay, any questions to the opposition? This lovely team. Like, I'm surprised there's not more to that middle speech. Yes?
Question.
On the point of Kim Kardashian having the perfect body, if she did have the perfect body, why did it need to be photoshopped?
Oh. Is that to me?
You.
I'm assuming so.
Did I say that? Okay. Well, first of all, that's an economical matter. If you sort of look at the globalization of leading political powers, there isn't actually any proof that it was photoshopped. So give me your proof and the raw data, and
Sorry, I want to she
I can't, no barking. So thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
Can I ask something?
Pardon?
Can I ask something?
No, because we're abstaining on the motion, aren't we? Questions abstaining on the motion? Yes.
Okay, so I think there's been quite a lot of discussion during this debate about women's bodies and the roles of women and where women should stand. And I think where there's a family of men, there wouldn't be such a discussion or a debate on it at all. They would be kind of allowed to do whatever they want, and nobody would really be questioning them because they would be in their perfect roles. And I'd like to know how you guys would respond to that.
Okay, brief response.
Good question. Well, good point, sorry. I think what is kind of more at the heart of it is that them themselves as women perpetuate the problem that women face. So they're taking a lot of the control for that. They could just as easily turn around and try and reverse a lot of the negative stereotypes that surround women, but they choose not to. They choose to perpetuate them.
Okay, thank you. Brief response to the opposition, if you have one.
So I think you're trying to say, Gemma, sorry, is that women create their own glass ceiling.
Stop.
But sort of in my speech I talked about the Kardashians' sort of work life becoming an extension of their personal life and how they love and enjoy that, and how they portray themselves is through something that they love, and by putting that out there, just because they're beautiful, that happens to be the thing, shouldn't be a point that we should discriminate them against. Personally, if there was a family of hot men, I think I would obsess over them.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go for one last round of questions. So, proposition, any questions towards them? No? Okay, last round of questions, going to be quick. Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry.
Well, the last part of my last question wasn't really a question, it was more rhetorical. And I'd just like to hear the proposition respond to the notion or the understanding of television as something that is, programs are maintained and that they're kept on the air based on ratings, based on number of viewers and popularity. And as such, how can you blame the Kardashians, and how can you, and I don't believe you can really say that they have all too much freedom to be something completely different, because if they would be, they wouldn't be as popular, because unless society or people in general wanted to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Brief response to proposition, please.
Okay, yeah, I think you're saying society obviously wants to consume this, so they do. It meets demand, but the thing about the Kardashians are they're a moneyed sort. They've always had that kind of money. The father, he was a very successful lawyer for some very infamous clients. So they've always had the means and the money to sort of afford that PR and that influence and that position to acquire that attention, I would say. I'm not an expert in how studios in Los Angeles work, but I assume that a lot of it is through PR and contacts and stuff like that. So I would say that they've had a charmed existence up to now. They've never really known hardship. Well, not a lot of it anyway. I can't speak for them in their full lives, but that if it weren't maybe for them coming from the sort of assured background they did, then they mightn't have gotten to the stage. And in any case, although the public do eat up what they provide, that doesn't make them any less harmful. They're just feeding the worst tendencies of society rather than assuaging them, and for that I think they're detestable.
Thank you for the conclusion. And quick question to the opposition, this side. Yes?
You were talking about women's bodies, yeah, you were, and you were saying that that Kim Kardashian is supposedly like a really like beautiful woman, but at the end of the day, isn't like beauty and the way you look very subjective, and isn't it up to the individual? So you can't just kind of spiritually put her in that pigeonhole thing, like she is the how we should look sort of thing. Is that not perpetuating what everyone else has done with all the like size zero stuff?
Well, I guess my speech was personally written, and in my eyes, she's beautiful. But she also was FHM. Was that the boys' magazine? That's straight boys. She was like hottest woman of the year, like 2 years in a row. So, thank you.
And the final point of staying on the motion, not from you. Final point of abstention. No, you're okay. All right. Well, then I suppose we'll go to a vote. And before you also like lose interest and switch me off, Ivy this weekend. If you're about in Belfast, please come along and have a watch for a while if you can. Come out with us on Saturday night. I believe the other debaters all think we're going to the Gay Socialist Russian Club.
We're going to Kremlin.
Is that not what I just said? So yeah, they've heard of that. So yeah, Ivy, and we're going to the house bar afterwards, so after this debate. So yeah, come along. So okay, first vote is based on your personal opinion. So the motion tonight is this house believes the Kardashians have ruined society as we know it. So if you believe that the Kardashians have indeed ruined society as we know it, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 2. And if you think that the Kardashians have not ruined society, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
Not a honk. 11, sorry. And all of those abstaining in the motion? 7, 9, 10, sorry. 11, sorry. And yeah, okay. So this vote is the one that is recorded in our minutes and is binding for the winner of the debate. So this is based on speaker ability. So if you could raise your wee shiny membership cards, blue ones if you haven't got one, please see Robbie at the end of the evening. So for all of those who think propositions were better tonight, this side, please raise your membership card and say aye.
Aye.
7.
6.
Behind you?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
I saw some. Oh, I thought it was you. Sorry. 6. Sort of fidget my hand about. And all of those who think the opposition spoke better tonight, which is this side.
6.
7. And all of those who abstain in the motion. Oh, sorry. All of those who think that both sides spoke equally good or equally rubbish.
Put your hands up high.
Yeah. This is a tight one now. 6. Okay. So I think the opposition has